Hi there, Group 3. This term you've got me for phonics, and we are going to be working on two special skills that you need to be able to move on successfully to the rest of your phonics, and that is blending and segmenting. Now, my aim is by half term, I want you to be so amazing at this that you're finding it really easy and you can come back to school and say to Miss Sanderson and myself, oh, easy peasy, we can do this so quickly now. So we're going to go through it really slowly and we're going to look at one specific technique each time. So today we're going to look at blending. What is blending? Now, blending is a technique you need to be able to read and decode words. So really good for learning to read in your reading books. Now, once you've mastered this skill, you'll find reading so much easier to do. So we're going to use some phonemes to help us with blending today. Now remember, phonemes is the very fancy word for sounds. We're going to use s, at, p, I, n, because to be able to blend, you need to know the sounds really, really well. And I thought you'd know these ones brilliantly. So we're going to use these sounds and we're going to start putting them together to try and read and decode words. Let's start with two phonemes. We've got two phonemes on the screen there. You've got a and you've got t. So you've got two sounds, two phonemes. We want them to put them together to make a word. Now, the technique we want to use today is sound buttons. Sound buttons is something you're going to need when you move up to year 1 as well. So you really, really do need to be very confident with adding sound buttons to words and using sound buttons to decode, because like I said, they use it in year 1, so this is not a wasted skill. So a sound button is just a little button. You can use a counter, you can just pretend you're using it with your finger, but on the screen, up comes my first sound button. And then I've put another one underneath. So you use a counter or a little circle or a button to represent each phoneme, each sound. So we've got two sounds on the screen, so I've got two phoneme buttons. And I can pretend I'm pressing those buttons, and I'm going to press the first one and I'm going to say ah, and I'm going to press the next one and say t. Now I'm going to do it again. Ah, t. Pressing those buttons. Now, the biggest mistake that children make is that they think they have to press the buttons once and then they will be able to hear the word. And that's not true. Sometimes you need to say it 4 or 5 times so that you can hear those sounds together. You've got to blend them together to be able to hear what the word is that you're saying. So let's try that again. I'm going to press the sound buttons. What word do you think I am saying? At. I'm going to get quicker. At. I was saying the word at, so the word at is on the screen. Let's make one now with 3 sounds. So I've got 3 sounds on the screen here. I've got s. I'm going to put another sound button in. A. T. I've put 3 sound buttons because I've got 3 phonemes or sounds on my screen. And I'm going to press those buttons and say the sounds in order. S, at. I'm going to say it again. S, at. I'm going to try and get quicker to the point where I'm blending them because I'm saying them superhero fast. S, at. S, at. Sat. What word was I saying? That's right, sat. Now, sometimes this can be a really hard technique to do. You'll find there's 2 steps. The first step is putting in those sound buttons. T, a, p. So you might find that you are awesome at that. You can say the 3 sounds in order. T, a, p. You know there's 3 sounds. You know you could put 3 counters or 3 dots with your whiteboard and pen, or you can just pretend using your fingers. 1, 2, 3. T, a, p. And you might be able to do that bit. The next step is that blending putting it together and being able to work out the word that you are saying. Now, as you can see on my screen, I've put a little car. Now, if you have a toy car or a toy truck or any kind of wheeled vehicle, this can really help you get over this next barrier, because they can help you say it really fast that you be able to hear what the word is. So I'm going to use my sound buttons, and I'm going to say those 3 sounds quickly to start with. T, app, t, app. I'm still not quite saying it fast enough for me to hear the sounds. So this is where I'm going to use my little car, and I'm going to drive my car past those sounds, and as he drives past the sounds, he's going to say them super duper quickly, and hopefully I will be able to hear the word that I'm trying to say. Here's my car, watch him go. Let's say the sounds really fast. Tap, tap, tap. The word was tap. Now, if you don't have a car, and we don't want to be using cars all the time, using your finger and doing a super swipe afterwards can also help you say the word really quickly. P, a, t. So I'm going to put in my 3 sound buttons. 1, 2, 3. So I've got 3 phonemes on the screen. I've got 3 sound buttons. I'm going to use my sound buttons again to say each sound in order. P, a, t, p, a, t. Again, I need to get faster. So this time I've said my 3 sounds. I've used my sound buttons. I can use my super fast swiping finger to go across the sounds and say them really quickly. Pat, 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 pat. I was saying pat. Give yourself a pat on the head or a pat on the back. Pat. Right, I want you to practice now. Have a look at the 3 sounds that I've got on the screen. Now, you can imagine that there are some sound buttons underneath. So I'm going to pop them in because we've got 3 phonemes, 3 sounds. Now, this word you might find a little bit trickier because he ends in n. And n is a really soft sound. And sometimes when you've got a soft sound on the end of a word, it can make it a little bit harder to put them all together. You've got your sound buttons. See if you can press them, touch your screen and see if you can work out what word it is. The picture is underneath the block. We're going to have a look in a minute. Have a go. Okay. Remember, don't just say it once. So many people think they can just sound it out one time and they know it. As you get faster and better at doing this, there may become a time when you can sound talk really fast. But today, remember, we're learning to use this technique of using our sound buttons and either a car or finger to swipe over those sounds really quickly afterwards. I'm going to do this. P, a, n, p, a, n. I'm going to use my finger to swipe across really fast. Pan. Did you get it? Let's see if we were right. Pan. Brilliant. Now, remember, what you could do today is you could have a look in your reading book for a word that's got 3 sounds in it. Or get your grown-up to give you a word that has 1, 2, 3 sounds, 3 phonemes. Remember, that's our fancy word for sounds. And see if you can use the techniques that I've shown you today. They could write it on a piece of paper and you could draw some sound buttons underneath. And that's your step 1, knowing how many sound buttons and knowing how to say the sounds in order. Then you can move on to the next step, which is trying to say those 3 sounds in order really quickly to the point where they blend together. And again, you could use your super swipe finger. So you could swipe across underneath those sound buttons and try and say it really quickly. Or if you've got a car, a little toy car or something, you could drive it across 3 sounds. Have a go with that today. And then tomorrow we'll use a different technique. And on Thursday, we'll have a go and I'll set you up with some games you can play online that will help you practice that blending skill. Remember, we're not trying to master it in one day. I want you to be so confident in using techniques and be able to do this that when you come back to school, you're finding it super duper easy. I'll see you tomorrow, Group 3. Bye-bye.